The way that LEGO have dropped the new Pokemon sets has been insane. They know how to get everybody talking. Now, if you've not already seen, LEGO has dropped their new Pokemon releases for 2026, where we have 3 big sets, and one of them is priced at almost £600. The set that has everybody talking has the Venusaur, Charizard, and the Blastoise, and it's priced at almost £579. And honestly, it has been one of the most expensive sets that LEGO has released. LEGO has been severely criticised over the last year or so for the types of sets that they're releasing and the price of some of these sets, from the aquarium that was released to the Star Wars set that was priced at almost $1,000. And in today's video, I want to talk all about why LEGO's new drop with Pokemon is the perfect marketing strategy. When I first saw the LEGO Pokemon set, my initial instinct was that who is going to be buying this set? It's so expensive. It's priced at almost £600, and in that you can kind of buy the Nintendo Switch 2, you can buy games, you could even buy something that is a lot more practical in your day-to-day life. I think it's a significant amount of money for the average person. That's where LEGO's marketing strategy really kicks in. The launch really isn't for the average person, but really we've seen the extent that people will go to actually get Pokemon sets. And really, I'll be honest, I think the kind of big Charizard LEGO set is marketed at the scalpers. We've seen how big the Pokemon franchise has been over the last 5 to 4 years, but definitely in the last year, we've seen kind of this franchise grow into kind of a monster. From the kind of insane Costco queues to, shop floors completely selling out of anything Pokemon related. That's where LEGO's marketing strategy really comes in. I personally think that LEGO's initial launch of this huge, expensive set is really marketed at the Pokemon scalpers that are willing to pay the extortionate amount. It's not really marketed at the kind of everyday adult fan of LEGO, and it's definitely not marketed at, children or kind of anyone below the age of 18. Over the last couple of years, LEGO have definitely faced a lot of criticism about the way that they are pricing some of their sets. We've seen kind of really big sets being launched in the last year, such as the Star Wars Death Star, which was almost $1,000. We also had the LEGO Aquarium, which was almost $300 to $400. And honestly, I think the price of some of the sets has really pushed a lot of your everyday LEGO fanatics kind of out of the picture. And it's kind of made LEGO this luxury product that it might not have been around 10 years ago. They've taken the criticism around the price of their sets and just used that to their advantage. Now, they had to find a price point that was, high enough to get people talking, but not so high that, people and especially Pokemon scalpers wouldn't buy the set. And I think this kind of, 600 mark has been the kind of perfect baseline to get both sides talking about this new release. What I think LEGO has done really well is to give us 3 big sets which have all of the main Pokemon characters. So even if you're not really a big Pokemon fan like me, you have some idea of Pikachu and Eevee and Charizard, which are some of the bigger characters when it comes to the kind of Pokemon franchise. It was really important for LEGO to price the big 3-in-1 Charizard, Blastoise and Venusaur set at kind of the 600 mark. I think this allowed them to be kind of below the Death Star point, which was $1,000 or pounds, but it was still higher than the Aquarium set, which was around the 300 to 400 mark. Pricing it at the 600 mark, it allowed LEGO to market it above the Aquarium set, but definitely below the Death Star set. One thing to keep in mind is that the sets that have been released are kind of just the launch. So LEGO is going to be releasing sets all throughout the year. And I think what they've really done is that when somebody comes across this £600 set, they're going to think to themselves, oh, this set is too expensive. You know, I might not really want the Eevee because it's kind of like maybe not my favorite character, but I'll definitely get the Pikachu. I think by pricing the Pikachu at like the 200 mark, it kind of appears, you know, like the medium set, but I think £200 for a Lego set is still quite expensive. Up until the latest kind of modular building that was released, the modular buildings have been priced around the 200 mark. So I think like by increasing the price of the modular building that was released in January, they've allowed themselves to market this Pikachu set at kind of the same price or just below it. So they've kind of positioned it below their modular sets. I think it's really important to remember that whilst Pokemon is a big franchise, this collection is not really separate from the other sets that have been released. So it's really important to think about the price of the Pikachu, which is at the 200 mark, compared to the modular buildings, which have actually gone up in price from around the 200 mark to about 220. So I think what they've done is position the Pikachu below the modular buildings, which is a huge part of the Lego franchise. So I think in comparison to the big Charizard set, the Pikachu set does appear cheaper, but I don't think it's actually that cheap compared to the other sets that Lego has, and it's definitely priced at kind of that mid-range. Lego have definitely taken advantage of the criticism that they faced over the last year around the way that they're pricing sets. I think by pricing a set that is kind of like very expensive, I think that 600 mark, like when I first saw that, I kind of was like, no way. And I think that sentiment has definitely stuck for me. There's not been a point in time where I thought, oh, maybe I can justify that kind of £570 mark. Like, I think it's insanely expensive. And it's definitely a set that's reserved for the big Pokemon collectors or people that are really big, you know, Lego fans. I think as somebody that is a new Lego fan and that is trying to build their collection, I don't think the set really appeals to someone like me, especially at that price point. Now, another thing to remember is that as Lego release other sets throughout the year, they are going to decrease in price. Like, that is going to be their strategy. So I definitely think we're going to get a lot of sets below the Pikachu mark, and we're going to get like maybe one that is above the Pikachu mark. So I think we're going to get a lot of sets that are priced below the 200 price point, and then we're going to get maybe one big set that is between the 200 Pikachu price point and the kind of 600 Charizard price point. And it will definitely be like the launch that they do around Christmas or to finish off the franchise. The Lego group is using a very classic marketing strategy where if you price a set very high, like the Charizard £600 set, you will definitely think to yourself, if there is a set that's around 200 or 250, that it is the cheapest set. But in reality, you're still paying that 200 price point for something that you might only build once or you might just keep as part of your collection. I don't have too much to say around the awards sets that Lego have also released as part of the Pokemon. I think there's two been released, and one of them is like the Pokemon Center. I think they're definitely using their classic gift with purchase strategy where you have to buy one of the big sets to get the small gift with purchase. I think it's really unfair to only allow the gift with purchase for the really big £600 set. I can imagine like Pokemon scalpers getting that gift with purchase set and immediately selling it kind of at like double the price point on eBay and on other reselling websites. I definitely resonate with the sentiment on the internet around the new Charizard £600 set. But I will say it's kind of just not made for somebody like me that is a very new adult fan of Lego. And unless you're a die-hard Pokemon fan, but also a Lego fan, I don't see a lot of people kind of being able to justify the £600 price point. Having said that, I think they've definitely come out with a bang, and there was no other way to drop a set like the one that they have. And, you know, a lot of people have criticised and, you know, written across YouTube and other social media platforms that this new Lego set should have been split out into 3. But I think that would have been a very kind of subpar launch. It would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, I like the Charizard, or you might like the Blastoise more, or you might like one or the other. Releasing it as a kind of big, huge, expensive set, this is going to be the main set of the whole collection, I think. I don't actually see Lego launching a bigger set than this. I have seen the list of the expected names for the sets for 2026, but I don't think any of them are going to be as big as this one, and I think that is part of the Lego marketing strategy for Pokemon. It was really important for Lego to have Lego and Pokemon fans talking about this set. And I think if they had priced kind of, you know, a Pikachu, a Eevee, and like the 3 other characters as like 5 sets, it would have had a lot less impact. So I think it was really important from a marketing standpoint for Lego to launch the set as they've done. Now, having said that, look, I'm really excited for the Pokemon releases. I personally started my own Pokemon card collection. I will definitely share that on this channel, and if you're interested, you know, leave a comment below. It's kind of an unusual way to do a Pokemon collection, so I'm excited to share, like, once I start building it. I will definitely be looking to get some of the maybe smaller sets that come out. I think if Lego release some kind of Pokemon minifigures, or if they release kind of like smaller characters that we could display, I would really like that. Like, I would love a set that's kind of easy to mount on the wall. I really like the Japanese style artwork that they've released, and I'd love something like that to be released for Pokemon, so I could have that on my wall. Over the last year, Lego have also released kind of the picture animals. Like, I think they've got a tiger, so something like that for Pokemon could be really cool. Whilst Lego and the way that they've done their Pokemon release has been a little bit off-putting, I'll be honest. I think a lot of people are disappointed with the way that the Pikachu looks and the price of the really big set. I think a lot of people are excited, like me, for the new Pokemon releases that will be coming out in the year. And I am really excited to see what they come out with, and if I could personally purchase any of those. I'm not really big into kind of, you know, keeping a set for investment purposes. I will definitely buy the sets that I think look the best. I'm also, you know, mindful of the space that I have and whether I can actually, you know, display any of the sets. So for me, display sets, you know, they just can't be that big. If I can get like a wall mount set, I think that will work really well. I've currently like built one of the big sets, which is a Tudor corner, and I can kind of see it in front of me, and like, it's a really cool set, and I think having something like that on display is really fun. But I don't know if I want like Pokemon sets displayed. Okay, so I definitely think that the 600 price point is definitely too much for the average fan of Lego, and, you know, maybe even some of the newer Pokemon fans. We might see Pokemon scalpers definitely sell out the big Charizard, Venusaur and Blastoise set, but I think it's out of reach for a lot of people. I think Lego have definitely done this as a kind of limited edition release for people that are big into Pokemon. It might not be for everybody, but it's definitely got the Lego community talking about the big set, and I think that's exactly what Lego wanted from a marketing point of view. So when they do release like sets throughout the year that are slightly cheaper, people are more inclined to go for these sets, having seen such an expensive set being launched. Now, if their first set had been around, you know, if the highest set had been around £300, you might have thought to yourself, oh, this is very high, so anything else released at that price point would kind of, you know, feel the same way. But because they have a set that is £600, when they now release a set that's £450 or, you know, £150, we're going to think that these sets are cheaper, when in reality they are still priced very, very high. I'll definitely do another video on this topic in particular, but I think Lego is definitely a kind of luxury hobby, and I don't think it's like easily awarded to a lot of people. I definitely like watching Lego creators share the builds that they have made using new releases and old releases, and also Lego news, but I'm the type of Lego fan that, you know, doesn't buy every single set, so a set like this is definitely kind of out of reach for me at like a price point level, but it's definitely not a set that I'm like 100% drawn towards. I think if they release a Jigglypuff, I will definitely buy that. So Lego, if you do watch this video, please release a Jigglypuff. I would love that. If it has a light, that would be amazing. And if you can use Smart Brick to play the Jigglypuff song, that would be amazing. So yeah, that's definitely what I want in the year, and I think that would be kind of a Lego Pokemon set that I would be drawn to, and that would definitely have my money. But sadly, the Charizard set is kind of, you know, not in my kind of basket at the moment. Whilst the Lego pricing and marketing strategy for the Pokemon sets has gotten everybody talking, I do think it has left a sour taste in a lot of Lego collectors' mouths. It's a set that is priced kind of so high that might actually be put off by the Lego group and the way that they are pricing some of their products. Hopefully throughout the year, they will release more sets that are below the £100 price point. I think, you know, I've not really seen anyone talk about it, but even the £60 Eevee set, I think is still very high for some people. It's definitely priced at the adult mark. I think it is 18 plus set. So I think I would be interested to see what kind of sets that they release for children. Both Lego and Pokemon franchises are really for children. And I think whilst it's exciting for Lego and Pokemon fans to have adult sets, I think, you know, we definitely need something at the lower price point, at the kind of £20 to £30 mark. I personally think £60 is still very high for the Eevee, given that it doesn't really do much, and again, it's just a display piece that you can only build once and have on display. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you are going to be buying the new sets, then let me know below in the comments, and until next time, let's see what else Lego release over the next year for Pokemon.